But are we now opening up the floodgates for parents being held responsible for all sorts of conduct? Because Lord knows, maybe some of those people on the screen right now could have done some things when they were kids that could have gotten their parents in a lot of trouble. Thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, kids routinely do things along the way. They get into mischief. They may not act according to the rules or play by the rules. And parents are held responsible for their actions all day, every day in America already. Now, the difference here is oftentimes parents are held civilly responsible for the conduct of their kids, meaning they're going to pay the restitution, they're going to pay to fix the car if their kid has a car crash, and so on and so forth. Here we're talking about criminal responsibility, criminal culpability, and so that opens this floodgate you're talking about. However, I was always trained and believed that the law responds and has to catch up to what's happening in society. And so what you see here, this is a tinderbox as it relates to kids going out, going to schools, and committing essentially mass murders. And so if the parents are putting the instrumentality, the killing machine into their kids' hands, then don't the parents bear some responsibility for what their child did? If they knew your kid has a mental health issue and then you hand them a weapon of death and you turn your back, I think that expanding the level of culpability is what perhaps this prosecutor is doing and where the law is headed to as we as a society try to grapple with and wrap our arms around how to stop senseless mass shootings.
Adanté, that is about the best explanation that I have personally heard about the underlying thought process that prosecutors would have. You know what? You're convincing me more and more, because there's a knowledge element there. You're saying that these mass shootings that are going on, it's not just picking on parents, that they should know. And if they know their kid's got a mental health issue and they're giving them a gun in relation to all these school shootings, therefore, that is something that prosecutors need to intervene with. Excellent argument.
The law, in terms of how it's applied and the way it's interpreted, varies from state to state. You know, there are federal rules and laws as it relates to gun laws and who can have them and how you're supposed to have them and who cannot have guns. But as it relates to this particular state, as you mentioned, you know, there's evidence that relates to how the gun culture, if you will, is much more ingrained and it's much more reasonable, if you will, for young people to have access to guns. I would say that is what makes this case probably so important, is because you're going to take a gun culture type state, talk about how you're going to now expand culpability to parents. And then this case is certainly winding up on appeal, which is why I think it's both parents are actually going the full mile all the way through trial. This is going to wind up going all the way up on appeal. And who knows, this one day, this case could wind up before our Supreme Court and set some type of precedent. So, you know, all eyes are on this case for a good reason.
Yeah, but it's very real, right? It's like, listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire. You're going about your day. You're two people that have never been in trouble before. He's turned out, you know, if anything happens, I love you. I don't know. As a prosecutor, I'm not sure that that is the kind of evidence I'd want admitted. Do you agree with that, disagree with that, and why?
Well, I think in some ways, yes. When you're looking at it through the cross-examination or through the examination lens, I'm not sure what points they were hoping to gain from that. However, I do see how at closing, someone is saying, look, this is a couple that knows that their son took 4 of our community members' lives. 4 young people are not here, and scores of other people have been maimed, injured, hurt. This community has been torn apart by this, and they're putting on chapstick in the back of a patrol car. They're smooching each other. Yeah. How many parents would never get a chance to hug or kiss their child? But yet, this is their, you know, so I can see it being played both ways.
Yeah. Does not that evidence kind of in a certain way contradict what they're trying to prove by the flight? That is, that they knew that the cops were going to be after them. It doesn't necessarily mean there's consciousness of guilt. It's consciousness of not wanting to be arrested. Thoughts?
Consciousness of not wanting to be arrested, you know, in a courtroom when there's other evidence and there's a lot of grieving people, will be easily converted into consciousness of guilt in some jurors' minds, based upon my experience. Yeah, you don't want to get arrested. Well, who wants to get arrested? However, if you feel that you were righteous in what you did and the police are coming, you have attorneys and it's all set up, why are you staying in an industrial warehouse? You know, these are the things that they have to answer, and these are the that the jury will wrestle with. I'm not saying that it's a foregone conclusion. I'm just saying it lends itself to making that conclusion.